Hello and welcome to this video, which will cover the basic mechanics on how to explore the event horizon. To our help, we have the XO of the US Space Force, they're called Barrel, and the engineer for the US Space Force, they're called Hubble. The XO, they have their character card, which shows how many dice they get to add, and they have an item called the emergency cable. You have a hand limit of 5 item cards. The dice are rolled and added to your dice tray. The dice tray allows you to move around the game without having to worry about your dice being re-rolled by accident. The engineer, they have their character card, adding 2 yellow. The Psi Medkit, adding either a blue or a yellow. And the power core, which is an item, adding 1 black dice. You have to add all the dice that are on your cards and add them to your dice tray. If you run out of space in your dice tray, let control know and they will tell you the consequences. Now it's time to start exploring the event horizon. These are called location tiles and you can move freely between square ones. In order to move onto one of these corridor tiles that separate the different rooms on the event horizon, you have to find and open an airlock. So in order for Barrel and Hubble to get anywhere on the ship, they need to start discovering this room and find the airlock. In order to do so, they can move 3 spaces as long as they're discovered, but there are no discovered spaces, so they have to end on the first undiscovered space that they hit. Barrel wants to move in this direction. That space is undiscovered, so Barrel has to stop. Hubble wants to move in this direction. This space is undiscovered, so they have to stop. Each turn on board the event horizon consists of 1 movement phase followed by an action phase, a second movement phase followed by a second action phase, and a third movement phase followed by a third action phase. Then all dice are returned and re-rolled. You get some team time to discuss what you want to do next, and then it starts all over again. Since nobody can move anywhere else, and you have to end your movement on undiscovered locations, then let's find out and discover this location. The symbol here indicates that it's a power system, so we add the power system card. Hubble goes back. We temporarily move Barrel out of the way so we can flip this card over. This is an empty location and Barrel goes back on top. We now move on to the first action phase. Barrel is on an empty location, can't do anything, while Hubble, they're on a power system that they want to operate. According to the card, you need 1 combination of the 3 detailed below, either a yellow and a blue, 2 yellow or 4 red. You have to match with at least the number of pips shown, so at least a 2 yellow and a 3 blue. And let's check the dice tray. We have a 2 yellow and a blue 3. But could have used the yellow 5 instead of the blue because 5 is at least 2, so that would have worked. But we're saving the 5 because maybe something more difficult comes along later on. It also says that the power system requires a power core. As you remember, Hubble has a power core in their item stack, so that goes on here as well. This turns on the power system, so we remove Hubble, the dice, we flip the power system card to the active side, put it on top of the power core because the power core is now inside the power system. Dice go back on top, and so does Hubble. This power system is now active and it provides 2 power, to this section of the event horizon, which means that you can start activating other things like life support systems or medbase or 3D printers or other different fun stuff. First movement and action phase is done. This action has dice on it, so it can't be taken again until the dice are removed at the end of the turn after action phase 3, and they're all re-rolled. So nobody can deactivate this power system until the end of this turn after 3 movement and action phases. We move on to movement phase 2. Both Barrel and Hubble are keen to try and find the airlock. They decide that they want to try this location. It's undiscovered. They both end up on an undiscovered location, so that ends movement for both of them. We move them to the side and see what's underneath. That is not an airlock, but an icon indicating that it's a storage. The storage is locked and it can be searched by adding either a yellow, blue, or try and pry it open with brute force by adding red dice. So the players argue and they decide that probably it's best if Hubble opens the locked storage. So we add the 5 because 5 is at least 2. That works lovely. We flip this card to the open side, follow the instructions. That goes back on top. This is now an unlocked storage. We find a card. It's a rope gun. We add this item card to the item hand and we add a dice on top. We don't need to roll it because we can't use it until we re-roll all the dice. So it just goes on top of the card. Well, since this unlocked storage has already been searched, nobody else can search it. It says on the card that you may search the storage multiple times as long as you can place dice on this card. So this sort of breaks the rule for different reasons, and we'll see. We can add the red 5 and we get another item card. This time it's some material. It doesn't matter what type of material it is. All material goes towards anything you want to do with material. It's just some flavor texts to add to the game. This happens to be aluminum, but any material can be used for crafting as long as it's material. So the unlocked storage can be searched multiple times. The locked storage can only be searched once, but once you do that, you can decide to unlock it like Hubble did, allowing multiple players to keep searching. And you can add dice onto this card until you run out of spaces. So it's a quick way to get some gear. That ends the second action phase because nobody else wants to do anything else here. And we move on to the third movement phase. They want to spread out and try to find this airlock. So Hubble goes up here. Barrel, 3 movements, 1, 2, but ends up on an undiscovered location space and needs to end their movement just like Hubble had to. Let's flip this and see what it is. It's an empty location. Hubble has nothing to do there. And Barrel, move Barrel out to the side. And finally, there's the airlock. The airlock is shut. In order to operate it, you need 1 combination. So there's a white 2. That works fine. Let's put it on there. And the airlock opens. Let's go back on top. This airlock can't be shut until we re-roll the dice. So only unlocked storages can be searched multiple times. The airlock is open, so we flip this card. There's the corridor. It has scorch marks and corpses in it, so that will be interesting. But that ends action phase number 3. We go back to our character cards and check. The XO should have 1 white and 1 red. So we retrieve those, 1 red, 1 white. And we re-roll them and add them to our dice tray. Let's see for Hubble. What should Hubble have? 2 yellow. Let's find them. 1, 2. We can choose 1 blue or 1 yellow. We got enough yellow, so we'll choose the blue. And the red that we picked up from the rope gun and nothing else. So this black dice goes back to the dice pool outside of our control. We re-roll and we add them to the dice tray. That ends the first turn, and Barrel and Hubble can now discuss what they want to do next about the corpses outside in the corridor.